This is Dr. Matt Barber of Alabama Orthopedic Clinic. We are proud supporters of Ransom Reprogram, Ransom Ministries, and all of the good work that they do in our community. If you would like to learn more about us, check us out at alortho.com or barbertotaljoint.com. You can also hear more from me personally on the Ortho Real podcast. Thank you again for allowing us to be involved with Ransom Ministries and all of the great work that they do.
Hey, welcome to the Ransom Experience. My name is Matt Armbruster, Executive Director of Ransom Ministries. You're going to hear stories from people that we've served and people that serve alongside us, as well as those that we partner with throughout our community. You're going to hear about decisions they made throughout their life and things that happened through different avenues of their life that caused them to go down a path that they didn't see themselves going. And then also those decisions that they have to make on a daily basis to stay away from those decisions that they made in the past. Ransom Ministries empowers people to utilize their God-given gifts and talents in their career and for their community. All along the way, we learn how to help those close to us and also maybe even help ourselves. This is real. This is raw. This is Ransom.
With every star.
This show is brought to you by Ransom Recycling, your number one choice for electronic recycling in Mobile, Alabama. Help reduce waste in our landfills by recycling all of your unwanted, unused, and non-working electronics. Ransom Recycling is a division of Ransom Ministries that is helping to put men and women back to work. Check out ransomministries.com for a complete list of acceptable items. Drop-offs and pickups can be easily scheduled through the website. Please note that we are not accepting TVs at this time. Ransom Recycling, open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. Help our planet while helping men and women re-enter the workforce.
With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Welcome to the Ransom Experience. Today we're going to meet a guy that has been through a lot through his life. He's spent time in prison. He has done everything from dealing drugs to pimping to hanging out with the wrong crowds and was thrown in prison. Can tell you about his anger issues and drug issues. And I can't wait for y'all to meet him. His name is Quincy Jones. And today he's going to join us. And we can't wait for you to hear his story. Today we're joined by Quincy Jones. Yeah, you heard that right. Quincy Jones. I've learned a lot about this guy over the year that he's been here, and we've grown to love each other. We've grown to work really good together, and he's become a big part of our Ransom team. But I wanted you to hear his story today, so we're going to ask a couple questions. So, Quincy, as we go, just kind of tell me a little bit about, growing up here in Mobile and kind of where your life was through school, and just kind of carry us through that.
Well, all right. For starters, I'm from Pritchard. I grew up in the Pritchard area, my whole life. I don't think I really had been outside of Pritchard till I was like 16 or 17 years old. So I pretty much, everybody I grew up with and everybody that I knew as a kid, that's like all I seen coming up. So it was a little crazy, man. It was a little crazy. It was a little, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it was a little hectic, I guess, the word I'm looking for. But, school, I never had problems in school with educational, but I always had behavioral problems as far as talking back to the teacher and fighting a lot. I always fought a lot in school, dealing with anger and coming up in the hood, things like that, that kind of weigh on your mindset when you, coming up in a lifestyle or a place like that. So, I really learned a lot, though I wouldn't take none of it back, you know what I'm saying? It really kind of made me who I am, you know what I'm saying?
So as a kid, would you say, how was your family life? How were the people around you? Did you have role models, people that you followed? And even the good and the bad, you can share whatever you want with us about those that had led you different ways, but tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about your people you looked up to, people you ran with, and kind of movement into your youth time, when you became a youth and 16, 17 years old.
Well, far as my family life, like I mean, my mom and dad weren't together, but I had a strong male figure with my stepdad who pretty much raised me since the age of 2. Like, and him and my mom got married when I was like 9, but that's who was my role model for as the good thing, like who told me like what a man supposed to do, supposed to get up, go to work, provide for his family. Like, yeah, that was my role model on that. And like my grandparents was real heavy in the word and God, and so they always try to instill that in me too. But as far as the bad influences, you know what I'm saying? Like it's too many to count, but one of the most influential bad influences I had in my life, I guess to say, like, that kind of made me, like, put me in the thick of trouble to see how it really was, to know that wasn't really for me, was my homeboy by the name of Justin Hughes, rest in peace. You know, he was a bad influence, like, but he was a good dude for as how he lived in the streets. But for as like looking at to everybody else, he just looked like a criminal, you know what I'm saying? But that's what, like, he was like a bad influence for us. Like, he led me with him to do like crazy things, robbery, you know what I'm saying, pimping, carjacking, whatever. We did a lot of things coming up teenagers, you know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for that, I feel like that I had to do some of those things cause I'm the type of guy, like, I got to touch the fire to see if it's hot. Like, you could tell me all day it's 1,000 degrees, don't touch it, but I got to really let me see, you know what I'm saying? I always been like that, so I guess I had to see that part of life to know that really wasn't for me, you know what I'm saying? I had to go through those trials and tribulations, go to prison, you know what I'm saying, get all my partners taken from me. You know, I got like 6-7 people tatted on me that I'll never see again, you know what I'm saying, because they dead. And a couple of them I never see again, but they alive, but they just won't never get out of prison, you know, and that's just a life. That's just a life that ain't for me, you know what I'm saying? I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it no more, you know what I'm saying?
You talked a little bit about how you kind of got drawn into the criminal life and did all those things and went to prison for a little while. Then you got out. How much time did you do in prison?
5 years.
5 years, and then you got out, and then you where do you see like your life, you deciding that, man, this isn't for me, man, I can't keep going down this path?
Honestly, like, prison did kind of like put that thought in my head, but I wasn't really, when I got out, I just was like, oh, now I'm smarter, I won't get caught this time, you know what I'm saying? But as I could honestly say, like, I ain't really start just realizing that, like, that I need to really change the way I think and the way I feel about certain behaviors or certain stereotypes or whatever, like certain things or certain stipulations that people put on people, you know what I'm saying? Or like, it's a characteristic, like, people generalize people a lot, you know what I'm saying? They don't really try to look at who you are. They try to take a shortcut, like, he looked like this other person that I once knew, so he can probably be like that person, but it ain't really like that, you know what I'm saying? But the point I'm making is, if it wasn't for this program right here, man, I ain't no telling, you know what I'm talking about, for real. Like, it really ain't no telling where I would be, like, for real. Cause I was, even when I had my 3 jobs and I was working and I was doing good, I still was backsliding, catching little jewels, trying to, you know what I'm saying, sell a little weed here, sell. But it just, this program, yeah, that's what really helped me get to where I need to be, like, mentally, spiritually, physically, everything. This program right here.
So I'll never forget the day you came here. Came through another guy that was in the program, Michael. He spoke real highly of you. You come in and the way that you used to handle like turmoil in your life, things that went wrong. See, a lot of people listening to us, they don't understand the whole draw of being in crime, or they don't understand the whole draw of, you know, selling drugs or doing all those things. But we want them to understand that. So we want them to see this from your point of view. You know, if you grew up in a white American, they don't understand that. But a lot of the guys that grew up in Pritchard or wherever, they can relate to that. But I don't. I want these that can't relate to it through this podcast to understand kind of where they come from. So I remember when you walked in and he was wanting to change. He was wanting to do a different thing, but you didn't really know how to do it. So think about like when you was out in the crime, like, what did you do? Like, when you were trying to figure out how to be a criminal, what did you do?
I mean, pretty much it was that, like, when I to figure out to be a criminal is not hard in Pritchard, Alabama. Like, you ain't really got to look too far to figure out how to, you know what I'm saying, be a criminal. Like, there's everywhere you look, is something going on. Somebody doing something they ain't got no business, or somebody somewhere they don't need to be. You know what I'm saying? So I never really had to try to. It just was a part of life. But like you say, like I understand, like some people like didn't grow up in those areas or don't know about those areas, so they might be a little blind to what's going on. But I put it like this in most simplest term. Like if all you ever did in your life was paint, you know what I'm saying, and you a painter now. You call yourself a painter. You a painter, and all of a sudden you can't paint no more. What you gonna do? Or all of a sudden, let's just say all of a sudden you get offered this other job that ain't painting. It's some that's probably a little bit more lucrative than painting, but you can't figure it out. You can't wrap your head around it because all you know is paint. Like all you know how to mix every color to make another color. You know how every stroke to make a line. You know all that, but you don't know nothing about rocket science or you know what I'm saying. It's crazy, man. That's just how it is.
That is a great analogy because if someone knows a certain thing, just like we see a lot of guys come through here, been in prison. I mean, we got guys been in there for 20 years. So if that's all you knew for 20 years, and then all of a sudden they throw you out into this world, man, it's almost impossible to figure it out unless you have someone walk beside you. And what I was trying to get at is you're going to surround yourself by criminals if you want to try to learn how to be a good one, right? True. You ain't gonna surround yourself by the ones in jail because they're the ones that got caught. But the ones out there still humping it, that's who you want to figure out how to do it. So that's the same in the job world. You get around people that have been successful, people that are out there doing things, and that's how you're going to do it. And that's what I've seen you. You're like a sponge, man. I mean, I just see you absorb everything we say. It don't matter if it's me, it don't matter if it's Anna Lee, it don't matter who's teaching a class, what there is, you want to know everything, you know? And so I know it clicked that you wanted to live that, but when did you really feel like I can do this? I can really get out of this kind of lifestyle. When I can get, I understand the program help, but when did you kind of sit back and go, you know what? I can do this.
Well, I'm trying to like rack my brain and find like the exact moment that I actually realized, but it's not really coming to me. But what I could tell you is like, I was in this program maybe for like 2 months, maybe 3 months. I was here, and JR and Chris and Mr. Leland was still here. And one day we was talking, and I don't think of it. I can't remember, man. It was Chris or Mr. Leland, but one of them was like, man, to have something you never had, you got to do something you never did. And I promise you, that's kind of stuck in my brain. Like I ain't to the day. I always remember that saying, and I tell everybody that right there. That's that saying. When I heard that right there, it kind of my brain was like, that's like perfect right there. Like I got to do something I never did to have something I never had. So I never really tried to like lean on God and just because it say lean not on your own understanding. You know, man can't direct his own steps and all that. But I always felt like, you know, pride. You know, I can do this. I got it. But when you get the only way God, I feel like he come in is when you actually accept and let him know like, okay, I can't do it. You got it. You know what I'm saying? That's when he be like, okay, now you ready for me. Now I can show you the way to go. Cause at first you weren't going, even if I did show you, you was just going to think you had it anyway. So I think it was that moment that I realized that I could do it. I can really do it.
As you said, you share that with other guys. So since you've been here, you've moved into a leadership position. Tell me what that means to you to like be in the leadership and being there for these other guys that are coming in just like you were, not knowing how to do something. They was painters all their life, and now they're trying to figure out a whole new way of living. How's that make you feel? And what do you get out of that?
It makes me feel like I'm like overjoyed with this that I've been like bestowed with this responsibility, because like I ain't always been the most, you know what I'm saying? I used to like, man, like I know you know what I'm saying? Like, we had a couple of run-ins, but I always tried to like better myself. Like even when that time you caught me, you know what I'm talking about, when you had sent me home because I got high, and you could have really fired me, and you know what I'm saying? And it could have been it, but you gave me a second chance, and I'm my heart too real and too loyal to go against somebody who helped me. Like I can't, like some men won't allow me to do you wrong because you ain't do me wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's more on that level too. Like I'm loyalty mean a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just feel like this position is God ordained, because I would not have seen myself come. You know what I'm saying? Coming here and staying here, knowing I was making. You know what I'm saying? Whatever I was, but it's more things in the world more important than money. You know what I'm saying? And some of those things, like these things on this wall, drive, attitude, dependability, honesty, humility, those things that you got to talk about these things every day. You got to work towards these things every day. You will never be given one of these things. Can't nobody you can't go purchase one of these things. And you got to, man, that's something I never really, you know what I'm saying, took into account. Like, character is way more important than any material thing or any asset besides that, man. Like, spirit and character is way, like, the most important thing. So, man, yeah, I appreciate you for everything you did. You gave me that opportunity, and I'm hoping that I'm showing you that I'm worth it. But that's a conversation for another day.
Well, I'm more than impressed by you because I've seen you grow so much. I mean, it's almost like, you're young enough to be my kid, so I could be here as a dad and say, man, you make me proud every day. Even the days you make me drop F-bombs or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So even those days we're family, man. So we're going to have times that we're going to butt heads and things ain't going to do it. But the cool thing about it is I see Quincy now. I think it's the person that God intended you to be, is that I see you like rebound really, really quick. You know, before it'd take days for you to rebound from a bad thing in your life, but now I'm seeing it really, really quick. And I think it's because you are becoming a person of character, and you're showing that to these guys. So what I think is awesome is that you're able to put your knowledge of what you learned over this year into these guys, because they're struggling and I'm gonna be honest, they respect you more than they respect me because you've been where they are. And so as we kind of wrap up what we've been talking about, I kind of want to know what would you say is the number one takeaway from here? What would you say is the number one thing you want people out there to know about you, about Ransom, about all the things you've been through? Just pick some things out and tell them, what you would want them to know.
I first and foremost, I like everyone to know that I am more than my past endeavors or my past experiences or my past failures. You know what I'm saying? I'm way more than that. And this program helped me realize that even though I already knew, like, some of these things be already ingrained in you, like you already know that you fearfully and wonderfully made. You know some of these things, but you gotta have certain people bring it out of you, man. Like, it can't be done alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I want people to take from me is you can't do it alone. Like, for real. That's like, I'm the most headstrong person probably on the planet. Like, I feel like I can do anything, you know what I'm saying? But when God broke me down and made me like, no, you can't do it. Like, you really can't. Like, as much as you may want, I'm talking about, you got the will to do it, but it's His grace that sustains you through it all. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's another thing I want everybody to take from this too. Like, great God's graces, I ain't never understand that, like, until I came here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a sinner. I'm always gonna be a sinner. I'm gonna die a sinner. That's how I thought. That's how I thought. You know what I'm saying? But coming here and learning about God's grace and learning about His forgiveness and His mercy, like, that's profound, man. I would have never knew that if I never came here. So that's what I want people to take away. Like, God is good. God is gracious, and just lean upon Him. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Well, that's good, and that is the most vital part, is that knowing that He's there for you. You aren't your past. What you did is not who you are, and you learn that, and you know that. And what I would love for people to understand is we can't look at someone and know where they've been. We can't look at how they look now. We don't know what they've been through, and that's what this whole podcast is about. Is about bringing out stories and letting you understand and meet people that are real, and we're going to just be real with everybody. So I appreciate you coming on today. Quincy, I love working with you. I love being on the team with you. I know you're probably not going to be here forever because I know you're way too good to hang out with me forever. But I think that you're going to be an amazing employee, leader, whatever owner, whatever God wants you to do. And I know you're going to listen to Him. So as we tape this, and you heard from Quincy, a lot's changed since that interview. And I kind of want to share it with you because I want people to know that just because you are moving the right direction and things are going your way, a lot of times the people that we serve don't have an opportunity to make the right choices and do the right thing. And sometimes they fall back into old habits. And it's really heartbreaking. We've been doing this a long time, and one of the things I've realized is that you can't take it personal. You know, all that God has called us to do is give tools, and the person has to do with them what they will. So Quincy was doing great. He was in leadership. There were some things we started to see that didn't really make sense, but now knowing everything, it kind of does make a lot of sense. He was having some issues at home. He was having issues with work. He was the most phenomenal worker, by the way, and he still was up to this point. He never missed days. I trusted him with everything. He never stole from us or any of those things. But I could just tell something was different. And we a lot of times need to look at what's going on in the people around us' lives and really push them and ask them. But we would continue to ask, and I continue to ask, is everything okay? Are you making good choices? And he was never really honest about that with me. And I could kind of tell he wasn't being honest. And then one day things kind of broke loose, and we had to let him go, really. Sometimes that's the hard thing. A lot of families don't want to let go. They want to keep trying to make the person in their life, their loved ones, make right choices. And that doesn't always work. Sometimes it does more harm, really, because it enables them to continue the life that they were living. So I had to call out some things on him, and he didn't like it. And he still wasn't honest with me. You know, we were studying about David and how Jonathan went to David and told him that, hey, you're wrong. And one thing that made David a man after God's own heart was he would admit his failures. He would confess, and he would repent. And that's one thing that Quincy wasn't willing to do right now. And not everybody that you're trying to serve or the people in your family that you're trying to help are going to do that. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to let them go, however hard that be. And they will try to tell you that you don't care about them and that you are don't love them anyway. And that's not true. Sometimes the most loving God lets you make your own choices. And he does let us make our own choices. And many times we make the wrong ones, and then he's there for us. And I've told Quincy that we're always going to be here for you no matter what happens. I'm always going to be here for you. But you got to start making those right choices. And I'm believing that one day he'll come back and he'll want to get the help that he needs, but also that he'll just admit and be truthful. So I guess out of this we've learned, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of the hardest things I went through in the 10 years we've been doing this, because I really love Quincy. And I really care about him. And to see someone continue to make those choices and you not really having any control over what to do about it is hard. So I just want you to know and be praying for Quincy. Be praying for his life as he moves on, that he will turn from those things. And he will turn to people that love him and care about him. So I just wanted you to know the update on that. And not all things end great in this, what we do, but in the end, we plant the seeds we can plant and we let them go. This is raw, this is real, this is Ransom. That's what it's all about. That's what this whole Ransom experience is about, that, hey, just because you're serving people don't mean things are always going to turn out right. And one thing I've learned is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a blessing and a privilege to speak with you, and I hope that you have learned something today. God bless.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. With